Hi, guys. Welcome to My Doc Dukov. How you doing, Doc?
Hello, hello, hello.
And we are today going to talk about, we've had a little trend lately talking about dating. And we might just make it like a more dating show. But I still want to bring in like the medical and psychological sides of everything.
That's a good idea because I know a little bit about that.
Yeah, you kind of know a little bit about medical, you know, what it is to like keep yourself healthy as a human being.
Right.
Physiologically. Dating can cause a lot of stress for people, so.
I had a patient who died from a bad date.
I think you talked about him once. What was that story again?
Well, he was getting back together with his wife, and they said they were going to meet in Las Vegas. So he buys a new car and drives it up there, wait for her to show up, and she never shows up. So he drives home, back to here. He calls me early in the morning. He told me he was feeling bad. So I meet to the office, so I went over to the office right away. We're doing the EKG, has a full arrest and dies.
Oh, my goodness. In front of you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the only time that's ever happened to you?
He told me the whole story about his wife, and they were getting back together. He was so happy, and so she says, "Okay, I'll meet you in Vegas." No shows it. And
it broke his heart, literally.
Right. Exactly.
Is that traumatizing for you as a doctor? I mean,
No.
when somebody goes into arrest like that in front of you.
It's not traumatizing. I'm just prepared for it.
Well, I mean, but that one came sort of suddenly, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I never met the guy before. So I had to talk to his two sons, and then he had a brand new car, sew the stickers on it, sitting out in the parking lot for a week or so until the family came and got it.
Oh my goodness! Well, that's a great way to lead the show. It's
Justin knows what I'm talking about.
Story. Oh my god!
Bad dating, or good
bad dating. It'll literally kill you.
It'll kill you.
Yeah, but they were married.
They were married, yeah.
So bad marriage will literally kill you.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think why I'm bringing it up in this regard today, talking about dating, is we've found sort of a niche that we're going to keep continuing on with as far as dating shows,
sounds like
topics about dating. Yeah.
Right.
And we're going to keep adding in the medical.
It's not risque, and sometimes we get a little risque sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I think the community probably.
You mean like we shouldn't let it too loose?
Right. Like we have in the past.
Let It Loose is now a podcast at this station. Started 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Second episode went up yesterday. So there are 2 official episodes now. And I'm just talking about mindfulness and the overview of like what my whole thing is about. But I'm going to be delving into the sexuality of everything more in depth in that show. Mm-hmm. So I think what we can do here with this show is we'll talk about more general topics regarding dating and what it is to be, a human being, medical, psychological, spiritual, maybe a little bit of philosophical, and the sexual stuff that we touch on in here. We can lead people over to the podcast.
Podcast, exactly.
To enjoy. So if you guys had any questions regarding something more specific sexually, you just head on over to me and let it loose, and we'll figure it out.
The whole mindfulness is a big buzzword now. So is mindfulness in every industry, really.
I love that. I mean, it's not a new term. It is to the Western world. Mm-hmm. There's a buzz about it, just like there is anything that the country adopts and makes their own. All of a sudden, it's like this new craze for this thing, right? But mindfulness has been around for thousands of years. It's Zen. Mm-hmm. That's the root of what this whole thing called mindfulness is. It's just being. It's just being present in yourself while you are alive. Mm-hmm. And the Zen masters for thousands of years, and I use the term masters very loosely because the real thing about being a master is just being a master beginner. We screw up all the time as human beings, and there is no such thing as mastering mindfulness. Mm-hmm. You will be mindful in one moment. So you've mastered that moment, quote unquote, mastering that moment.
Right.
But the next minute, something's going to totally rock you out of your body, out of your being, out of your sense of self. Somebody's going to tick you off. Somebody's going to hurt you. We have an ego. We take things personally. We assume a lot. So things get us rocked out of us as people. And the practice of mindfulness is being able to come back in when that thing happens that rocks us out. That's why there's no such thing as a master in mindfulness.
Right.
It's a master beginner. You begin again every single time you come back into just being in yourself.
Right.
So what do you think? Let's just start this off in this way. What do you think it is to be in yourself? What do you think mindfulness is?
I think of mindful means to me beware of your surroundings and how you present things to people.
Okay. Like in what way? So we're having a conversation not on the radio right now. You and I are just chatting outside on that bench. Mm-hmm. What is it for you to be mindful in how you're presenting yourself to me, as you say?
I think I wouldn't say things that would be hurtful.
Okay. So being conscious of how you are having a conversation with somebody where you're gonna tend best to their feelings. Mm-hmm. You sound like a therapist.
Oh, I should be a therapist.
Yeah, I bet medical doctors actually, in a way, are a lot, right? People come in and they talk about their anxiety.
It's only for a few minutes, but not like you for an hour.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's when you refer them over to me, and you're like, okay, I've heard that you're not sleeping. You have insomnia. Mm-hmm. Your husband is killing you. Your wife is driving you crazy. Here's Alicia's number.
That's right.
Go talk about it for an hour.
Right.
She'll help you get mindful in it. Well, yeah, that's the idea. So the worst force for us, external to us as individuals, that rocks us out of us are our spouses, are our significant others.
Right.
Even if it's just somebody you're dating. It doesn't have to be somebody you've been married to for 20 years or 50 years or whatever. But even people that you're dating, this is why we've now geared the whole show towards dating. And today we're going to be talking about mindfulness in dating. People that we care about tend to have the ability to rock us out of ourselves that much easier. We care more about the second I like you. Let's not even talk about love. The second I like you, I'm going to start to care now about what I think you think of me.
That's right. That's what happens because you respect the person.
Yeah, respect definitely is a component of anything you do with other people that you want to spend time with. Mm-hmm. But what I'm talking about is ego-driven. I care about what you think of me, and I'm going to assume a lot, very insecurely, about what you think of me.
Oh, perfect.
Because I have an ego. We all have an ego. The word ego does not, that's also a misperception. Mm-hmm. There's a misperception of the word ego. So let's define ego real quick, okay?
Okay.
Ego is not to be egotistical. Ego is not egocentric. You're just this narcissistic, ego-driven, it's all about me person. When we talk about the ego, we're talking about an actual structure in the human mind, in the being. We have been born with it. And it is sort of this mediator, it thinks it is, between our true selves, our hearts, our souls, what we want to give out in the world, which is love, and then everything outside of us. What the ego does is it separates us from everything else around us. It tells us there's a differentiation. It tells us we are separate.
Right.
You want to rise above what the ego is constructed for, making you feel different, making you feel separate. You want to rise above that. They call it lifting the veil. You want to come back to your true self, which is connected to everything. And that's the practice of mindfulness. You want to be able to remove the ego, essentially, and just come back to your real being, your real effervescent, light-filled, love-filled being.
Right.
The ego is what drags us down. But you can't eliminate it because it's a part of the human structure. So what you want to do is work with it. And
you have no choice, really.
You don't have a choice. You gain a practice where you can remove the veil, as they say. You're like lifting a veil. The ego would be just like this film that comes over you and your like perception between you and the outside world. It's like a little film, like a veil. And it obstructs our views. It doesn't allow us to see clearly to other people, to connect to other people without insecurity, without feeling like we assume that it's all about us. They're having a bad day. It's about us. They were just mean to me. That's something that I'm going to take personally. Maybe that person is just having a bad day. And when you can remove this feeling of the ego, taking everything personally, assuming everything, being insecure about everything, telling you everybody's against you, it's paranoid little structure. When you can rise above that guy, you can actually be your true authentic self. and be a fluid being living in this world in a grounded way inside yourself, and you can date and you can have amazing sexual experiences and emotional experiences that are vulnerable and connective. But we can't do that when it's the ego that is driving us.
Right.
So mindfulness today in dating in this show, we're going to be gearing this towards lifting that ego, coming back to our true hearts and souls, so that we can operate from this place of center and groundedness and love and light that we want to give out. And then you're going to have great dates. Even if you don't like the person, you're going to be enjoying yourself on that date. Yeah, you're going to have fun anyway. Because you're not going to be so consumed with all of the stuff that the material and illusory, really, superficial level kind of stuff.
Well, if
that comes from the ego.
If you want to see something, have you seen that new show out about the Abbey in West Hollywood?
I know the Abbey, but no, there's
it's
a
a
show
show
on
about that, and it interviews all the servers and stuff, that VIP servers and waiters and things like that, and their personal lives. And what you're talking about, the egos. There's a lot of egos. But we need to talk about that when we get back.
All right, we're going to talk about ego in West Hollywood, the Abbey, and just in general. When we return,
we come right back and
be mindful. See you soon.
Okay.